Hey there, welcome to my little studio. I just stopped here. It's a Sunday. I'm just going to make this video real quick. I've had some new extension clients and I'm super excited, but I'm finding that a lot of clients have not been given proper at-home care instructions when they get extensions. So I just wanted to create this video that's going to go through the basics of taking care of your extensions at home, because the truth of the matter is, there's all kinds of things that can cause damage to your hair, including extensions. But 90% of that problem is going to be caused by what's going on at home after you have the installation. If you're taking really good care of your extensions at home, damage should be minimal, if at all. In fact, I think I've said in other videos that I have some clients that get extensions and their hair actually grows longer and healthier because they're taking such great care of their hair at home because of the investment they make in extensions. So I'm going to go over all the basics today. Okay, let's just start at the top. Washing your hair when you have extensions becomes a thing. I joke with all my extension clients that you are not ready for extensions unless you are ready to be high maintenance. Because everything you do now is going to be more of a chore than it was before. So just be prepared. So let's start with number one on washing your hair. First off, you're going to wash your hair less when you have extensions. And there's several reasons. One, the extensions are highly processed. You shouldn't be washing them as much, but also you've got a lot more hair now to deal with. And so you're not going to want to wash them as much. I usually recommend about 2 times a week. If you're used to washing your hair more often than that, you'll find that you probably don't need to. And through all these instructions, I'm going to give you the reasons why. I have very thick hair, and it's a little bit coarse. So I don't need to wash my hair very often. Once, maybe twice a week, usually once, but usually no more than twice a week. And that's because the natural oils and things that are in my hair just kind of get absorbed and I don't get that greasy, hair that I feel like I need to wash more often. The same thing's going to happen when you have a bunch of extensions in your hair. It's going to kind of absorb a lot of that stuff and you're not going to feel like you need to be washing your hair as often. And so you're going to wash less, and that's what's best for the extensions. Now, the biggest problem that causes damage with extensions is tangles, because you're ripping through with a hairbrush and things break and your hair gets matted and that kind of thing. So before you wash your hair, you want to brush through it carefully to get all the tangles out before you go into the shower. You're always going to want to start brushing your hair from the bottom up. And you're going to want to hold at the bond so that you're not putting extra tension and pull on those bonds when you're brushing. You're going to want to have a good extension hairbrush that is board bristle, a loop brush, sometimes they call it. Even a wet brush in a pinch works. But again, hold the extensions and then brush up. And here is actually an extension dolly. So let's say you have weft extensions. You're going to want to hold this hair up here, start at the bottom, and work your way up, okay? And then lift up the extensions. Now, if you have hidden rows where you don't see the bead attachments like you do with this, oops, we got all hair kind of having which means you have a weft underneath and on top, so the beads are hidden. Yeah, this might be a little more difficult, but you want to lift this up and brush under. Because if you're just brushing on top, all that stuff underneath is not getting brushed. So just be very delicate and careful. And this goes with, all types of extensions. Hold it at the bond and brush and, get underneath there. I have another dolly head over here that has other types of extensions. We'll get into more brushing later. But basically, before you shampoo, you want to make sure that you get all the tangles out of your hair, okay? Okay, now choosing your shampoo is important. The hair that is extensions is highly processed and it doesn't have the same oils and things in it that your natural hair does. So it can get dry and get kind of, upset that way. So I always suggest a good moisturizing and repair shampoo. One that I love is the one from Moroccan Oil, and it has a matching conditioner that comes with it. And so that's one I recommend. But there are lots of good ones out there. I'm not super brand specific. I just want to make sure you're using a good quality shampoo that's sulfate free, that's good for delicate hair, that's going to provide moisture. Okay. Now you get in the shower. You're going to put you're going to always try to keep your head upright. You don't want to be flipping your hair upside down when you have extensions and manipulating things too much, because that's going to create unnatural tension on the bonds and on your natural hair. So now your hair is all detangled. You're going to keep upright. You're going to put your shampoo in and I feel good. You're going to shampoo, your scalp and use the pads of your fingers. There's no reason to get in there and really grind. I know it feels good, but you want to get in there and shampoo your scalp with the shampoo. And you want to, and then we get back to the hair extensions again. You want to get in between those bonds and shampoo and up on top, and make sure all that's getting clean, because what's happening is naturally your hair is shedding every day. 100 to 200 hairs, depending on how much hair you've got, depends on how much is shedding, but it's getting caught in those bonds and kind of around there. And that's why we're brushing, but that's also why you want to get in there and kind of manipulate with your fingers and shampoo around those bonds. Okay. Just be gentle about it. You've got tape ends, on top, lift them up, get underneath, and just get your scalp nice and clean, because scalp health can be a real issue with hair extensions. So when you're in the shower, take that time. You're only washing it twice a week, but take a little extra time to make sure you're getting there with your fingertips and, scrubbing your scalp gently all around those bonds. Okay. Now you're going to rinse. You're going to lean back and you're going to let that water flow, and you're going to get that water in between those bonds and just rinse longer than you think you would have to. And here's why. You've got all this extra stuff going on here. That's a great place for soap, shampoo, products, whatever, to build up. And if it's not rinsed thoroughly, when that dries in there, it's going to create a sticky little nesting ground for bacteria, which can cause inflammation, which can cause matting, which can cause all kinds of things. So you want to rinse longer than you think you need to and really get all that soap out and away from your scalp. Now you're going to condition. There's no need to put conditioner on your scalp. Okay, that's just one more thing you're going to have to worry about, making sure you have rinsed good. So just kind of apply your conditioner through the mid-length and ends, and get it all in there, because that's going to add the moisture and the things you need through your dry hair. It's going to help detangle all of that. And then again, rinse longer than you think you need to. And when you think you're all rinsed and good, now you're going to get out of the shower. You're going to wring that hair out as much as you can, and then you're going to blot it dry with your towel. Don't be flipping upside down and doing crazy things with your towel, because again, that's going to cause all kinds of undue friction. Hair is most delicate when it's wet. So this is when you really have to take extra care and make sure that you are treating, because remember, your natural hair is holding this extra weight of these extensions now. You do not want to be manipulating it harshly with a comb or a brush or anything like that, or a towel while it's wet. It's most delicate right now. You want to be very gentle. And again, now you're going to comb it out. You're going to use a detangler of some sort. I know you've used a conditioner. Maybe you want an additional detangler. One I recommend is the one from Pureology, Color Fanatic, 21 benefits. It's got all the things. It's a heat protectant. It's a detangler. It adds moisture. It does all the things. Okay. So this is a great one. But you may have one that you like. And you're going to go through again with a wide tooth comb. You're going to be holding those bonds, starting at the bottom, working your way up. Now, hopefully the tangles will be very minimal, because you detangled before you got in the shower to start with. Okay. That's very important. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Okay. Now, a couple other products that you may want to be using once you have extensions. Number one is a dry shampoo. I love this one from Moroccan Oil. You may have a favorite. That's great. So you're only washing twice a week. So maybe, let's say you wash on Monday. Tuesday, your hair feels pretty good. Wednesday, maybe it's feeling a little funky. So you're going to maybe shoot in some dry shampoo. You don't want to use the dry shampoo maybe more than once or twice between your shampoo days, because again, you don't want that product buildup on your scalp sitting there with natural oils and stuff building up with it and causing problems. But what I like about this dry shampoo is I actually use it usually a couple days before I'm ready to shampoo. I get kind of like, well, my hair is feeling a little heavy. And how you use dry shampoo is you spray it in at the rootage, in a few spots, and then brush it through. And this particular one, I know you may have one of your favorites, and that's great. Use that one. But this one, I feel like just makes my hair feel fresh. My scalp feels clean. Everything feels good. It gives me body again, gets that oil out of there. So that's a great way to kind of stretch those wash days out. Another product that I recommend for my extension girlies is the K18 hair mask. Now, this is something you don't have to use every time you wash, but maybe every third time. Because remember, we're dealing with highly processed, delicate hair. And this helps just kind of rebuild those proteins and add moisture and all the good things. And I will go over that with you when you're in my shop on how to use it properly. But it's great. So that's another thing that I would recommend you using. Another product I like is this oil, and they also make a lighter version, but I really like this one. It just you do it through the mids and ends, kind of when your hair is feeling kind of a little dry, and it adds moisture and shine, but it's also a heat protectant because you're going to be flat ironing and styling a little more probably because now you got this beautiful hair to show off, and this will just protect it until it's washed out. So it's a great added layer of protection when you're styling. Now, feel free to use styling products. Again, it's natural hair. It can handle it. But you just want to be careful about what you're getting layered up on those bonds. You don't want a bunch of product buildup around the bonds. Oils, alcohols, things like that, heavy creams, those are all deadly to your bonds and to your natural hair at that spot. And here's the reason why. K-tips will break down with certain oils or alcohol. Tape-ins will certainly break down with oils, alcohol, even too much moisture. The thread that holds in the sew-ins can break down if it's got products and things sitting on it and moisture constantly. So you just want to keep that stuff away from your bonds, okay? Sometimes when you're putting mousse in, you might want a root lift or something, but just kind of put it kind of on the top where the bonds aren't. It's not going to be a complete nightmare if it happens once in a while, but you just don't want that constant buildup of product on the bonds because it will break them down and cause issues. Now back to brushing. You're going to want to brush your hair more often than you normally do. Obviously, we talked about brushing before you get in the shower. But then when you get up in the morning, you're going to brush it and style it. And then maybe midway through the day, if you feel like you could use a little brush or styling, the main thing is we want to keep those tangles at a minimum. Because when you are ripping through tangles, you are putting undue pressure on your natural hair. Let's go back to, actually, I'm going to get this other head here. Let's look at this one. Okay, so on this one here, I've got some micro K-tips that you can see. Let me show them. Little micro K-tips. Okay, so imagine your little hairs are holding on to extra hair now than it used to. So it's a little more weight than it's used to. If you've got a tangle in there and you go to just rip it out, there is a good chance you can break your own hair off. It's not the extension that caused the problem. It's you with a hairbrush. Okay, so again, be holding these bonds, start at the bottom, work your way up, and then gently over the bonds, under the bonds. Here's a little piece of a sew-in one that I put in. You hold it at the bond, start at the bottom, work your way up, lift it up, brush underneath, get all those loose hairs, because like I said, your hair is shedding naturally every day. And what happens is that hair gets caught at the top here and it can't get out because it's trapped by that bead. So sometimes just running a soft brush over that will be enough to grab those hairs and kind of pull them out and help them kind of get loose and not become a bird's nest, okay? Things that cause the bird's nest besides tangles is moisture. You do not want to be going around your day with wet hair, okay? You want to make sure your hair is dry, especially at the scalp, and the rest as well. Extensions should not be left wet to dry on their own because that's just going to cause tangles The hair is weaker when it's wet. It's going to cause breakage, things like that. So you want to dry it gently, carefully. Make sure those bonds are always kept dry. Moisture at the scalp is going to cause, again, it can cause attraction of dirt and oils and extra hair. Hair when it's wet tends to tangle and knot more. I've seen people come in and these extensions that are all nice and pretty when they leave are all like turned into a dreadlock because they haven't been separated. That's the other thing, is you need to be separating these bonds with your fingers, like when you're in the shower and that kind of thing. I'm kind of covering all different types of extensions, so things are coming to my mind as I'm talking about them, but all those beads and bonds or whatever they are need to be separated and kept separate because they will cross-contaminate each other and become a nightmare for you. So when I say you are now high maintenance, I mean it. It's all about how you take care of them at home. Now let's talk about sleeping. I don't want you to go to bed with all this long 24-inch hair that's going to get wrapped under your armpit, choke you out, get all tangled. The bonds are getting crisscrossed and crazy because you're sleeping and tossing and turning, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure your hair is thoroughly brushed before you go to sleep. This is probably your third time today you're brushing your hair. You're going to put it in a loose, either 2 pigtail braids or 1 long braid, whatever you prefer. And then you're going to put something over your head to keep those bonds and everything just kind of in place while you're sleeping. One of the things that I think works great, it's soft. And I actually use this on my motorcycle to keep my hair all kind of in one spot. It's, people used to call these gator wraps or something, I don't know, but I'm going to show you. So it's just super soft, and you can get them in all different colors and designs. And it takes 2 seconds. You put it on, your hair's already in a long braid, and then my earrings. You pull this back and it just keeps everything, your braids coming out. It's nice and neat. This is all your bonds and everything are just kind of staying put. And it's going to help with, tangles and stuff. So then when you get up in the morning, am I fabulous? I don't know. My bangs are doing weird things now. You're not going to have nearly as much tangling to deal with. And you go through and brush your hair and you're good to go. Or you're going to flat iron or whatever you're going to do. So I highly suggest that when you sleep. I also, if you want to be bougie, silk pillowcase, for that little bit of the braids hanging out, it's going to give it a nice little soft bed to sleep on. So sleeping, you want to make sure your hair's put to bed, nighty night. Okay, so something else you want to talk about, exercise, heavy activity, things like that. Now you've got all this extra hair you're not used to having, I understand. When you go to the gym, you're going to want to braid it, that kind of thing. You don't want to be piling your hair up on top of your head any more than you have to. Braid, ponies, things like that. But here's the thing. If you are the type that sweats a lot when you work out, I do not work out that hard. But if you are someone where you feel like your scalp gets wet, your head's wet, then you need to wash and dry that hair after you work out. At the very least, rinse it and dry it. And here's why. The salt from the sweat is going to cause issues with your bonds, okay? Again, bacteria, all kinds of issues can happen. And you just want to make sure that you're not leaving that hair moist and sweaty and gross for very long. You want to keep it rinsed, get it dry, that kind of thing. If you don't sweat too much, you're probably okay. If you swim, again, get that chlorine rinsed out of that hair. Again, it's highly processed hair. The chlorine is not doing it any good. You want to make sure that you're getting it rinsed and you're getting it dried, especially at the bonds. The bonds do not like to be wet, okay, for long periods of time and sitting in moisture. If you're swimming, I suggest braids. If you can fit it into a cap, that's even better because then the hair is not getting, moved around and stuff through the swimming. But that's depending on how much hair you have and how long it is, a cap might just not be something you can do. But a braid definitely, and then make sure it's rinsed and dried afterwards. There is some truth to the fact that if you're going to go in a chlorine pool or salt water or something like that, if you drench your hair with fresh water prior, it will help keep the salt and the chlorine a little bit, out, but it depends on how much time you spend in the chlorine and the salt water. But salt water and chlorine is not good for your extensions, and you want to get it out. Maybe use a swimmer shampoo or a clarifying shampoo afterwards as well, and keep those bonds dry. don't be sitting around in wet hair for hours and hours and hours on end. Or, if you're on vacation, it might happen or something, but not on a regular basis, definitely if you're a swimmer. Okay. Now, the final thing I want to cover in this video is your maintenance appointments. Your hairstylist, your extension artist is going to recommend, I have a hair blinding, is going to recommend when you should come back. I have talked in other videos, if you are new to extensions or if you have baby fine hair and we are trying extensions out, I will have you back within a week or so because I want to see how things are going. I want to see if you have any questions. I want to make sure everything's comfortable. But usually, depending on the type of extension you have, your maintenance appointments are going to be scheduled anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks, to come in for a move up, because all the different extensions require different types of maintenance. But it's important you keep those maintenance appointments. Most damage occurs when there isn't a teamwork thing going on between you and your stylist, and getting those maintenance appointments done regularly, getting the tangles out regularly, at home and that kind of thing. It takes a village, and we want you to have healthy, happy hair. I want you, when you end your extension journey, if you end it, to have healthier and happy hair than when you started out, okay? And it can be done, and I see it all the time, but it really comes down to how you take care of them at home. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer if I can, or maybe if there's another video you need done helping to explain this a little better, I'd be happy to. If you're in the area, I'm in Gig Harbor, Washington. If you're looking for extensions or maybe just want to do a consult and talk about them, I do offer a complimentary consultation, and you can reach me at hairbymickey.com. Have a great one.